Hey everybody, Brad Clark here for Rigging Dojo. I'm updating this quick tip from a few years ago on creating a selection bounding box. Maya's changed quite a bit, the display, viewport 2.0 and all the things that have been updated make this a little different than the video in the past that I showed on making selection bounding boxes. The first thing we're going to do is look at the shape selection here, and I've got the basic shape parented to a joint, so I can select the box and select my FK target, right? So this is pretty standard stuff, but I don't want to actually see these boxes in the way. I just want them to make it easy to pick, and you can find this in areas for picking on surfaces to control the mesh of a face, for example. We've all seen those type of videos where you're creating invisible selection. So let's get started. I've already created the shape parents, and the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the faces don't shade. So I'm going to go ahead and select face mode, component, double click and grab all the faces, and I'm going to go to edit mesh, face, assign invisible faces, and hit apply. And so with that, we can make them not shade. Okay, so they won't shade now. Breaking the shading connection just makes things green in the viewport 2.0, so we use the invisible face selection instead. Next, we want to set all of the edges on the face to have soft edges. So now we see these dashed lines, and this is pretty similar to what I showed before, but the display changed, the name of the setting changed a little bit. So now we can see that they've got the dashed edges. Next we can go to object mode, and you can see that once you pick them, they basically are invisible, but once you pick them, you can still see the dashed edges. So that might be actually something you want when it's shaded, but when we come back out of shade mode, we still see the dashed edges. So I don't want to see them at all. I just want to be able to click in this area and get my selection. So now I'm going to go to mesh, display, polygon, and down here under custom polygon display, I want to work on just the selected objects. And I want to tell it to only show hard edges, but because there are no hard edges, those edges disappear. The other thing you can also do is turn backface culling on and hit apply, just to make sure that there's no chance that it shows up and is visible. So now we've got the selection area here as a pick box, and I could go in and change the scale of this, of course. Switch to vertex and scale these things out. And so now I can swipe out and hit this area with ease to grab the stuff. Right, and then we can also turn the displays off for the bone and change the draw style to none. And now we've got basically an invisible selection box that lets you grab an area, and all the rig is hidden from the animator. You can just swipe over the arm and have it move around, and that's it. One thing that almost never gets used or talked about anymore, just the last display tip thing here, is that all objects have the ability to have a picker handle, and that handle by default in Maya is the selection priority is highest. So if there's an area that you're constantly needing to pick a sub object for, turning on the display handle and having it, you can offset it up and down or wherever. If you just set that display handle, then you can pick the group, and then you can also drag over the whole thing, and the selection handle is what gets grabbed. So if there's something you're constantly having a trouble picking because they're too close to each other, or the bounding box or the order in the outliner is higher. That's just another. It's been in there forever. It was one of the first selection tools in Maya for creating, rigging selections, but I still find it at times useful, and I think a lot of people have forgotten that this even exists. So check it out and dig around in the display sections here. You'll find all kinds of interesting things like default manipulators, offsets for the handles, and all that good stuff. So anyway, you can also hide stuff in the outliner, and this works without going through and having to use containers to lock down your rig. So again, you can really clean up both the visual display and the outliner display of the rig, and make it a much nicer looking experience when the animator opens the file up. So hope that helps you out and gives you some new options for creating some selection tools inside of Maya. Thanks, everybody.